Hi, my name's Tim Holmes. I'm Senior Partner for Growth for Sirdar South Africa. And what I want to talk to you about today is really the importance of what we refer to as a profile, but it's about your personality type when you're looking at the people on the board. And absolutely what I'm realizing through spending more and more time with different boards across different industries, different types of companies, different numbers of members on boards, that it's really, really critical to understand what profile they have. And what we're talking about is a preference profile. So what is someone likely to do, or what decisions is someone likely to make in a critical moment? And let's face it, a lot of board meetings end up being in critical moments. So we need to have an understanding of which direction someone's likely to take the conversation, which questions someone in the boardroom is likely to ask. And as far as possible, it's critical to have a balance. So we use a tool called the Contribution Compass Profiling Tool, something we developed over the years because we had a specific need. There are other tools out there in the market, and if you've got one that you find useful and works for you, then that's great. What we're really asking boards to do is to think about, it's not just the skills and abilities of the people in the room, but it's very much about the way their personality works, the way their brain works, the stuff they don't necessarily have control over and they can't change easily. So in appointing directors, it's critical to look at profile, at attitude, and that they have the skills they need to perform in that area. Can they think strategically? Have they got the sufficient skills that you absolutely need, whether it's legal, whether it's marketing, whether it's accounting? What is their core strength that they're bringing to the meeting? And in terms of the profiling, Contribution Compass breaks into four main areas. So we've got activating energy, which is very much about coming up with new solutions for problems, coming up with new ways of approaching problems. So typically that's where the entrepreneurs come from, because they're about creating new things, chasing the new shiny idea, coming up with a new way of producing a particular thing or a new product to serve a particular need. It's all about solution and solving problems. The inspiring energy is very much more about the people aspect. So while the activating energies the question they want to answer is the what are we doing? The inspiring energy is very much about the who. It's much more of a people focused. And that's typically where the extroverted energies sit, is in the people focus, because they need to vocalize, they need to talk things through when they're processing information. And then on the south side of the compass, you've got the sustaining energy, and that's very much about taking those ideas that the activating energies have come up with and implementing them. So it's making sure they get done, the work gets completed, the job gets finished. And as I'm sure you're starting to understand, if you've got someone coming up with lots of new ideas, but you've got no one who's actually supporting the implementation of those ideas, then you're going to miss a trick. You're going to start producing loads of new products that never get sold. You're going to start going into new regions and areas you never quite build the critical mass to actually make it happen. The sustaining energy is vital in a boardroom. And typically those kind of profiles are not the ones that are going to actively look for a risky position of being a director. So they need to be brought in, they need to be given a process that's followed by the board so they feel some comfort, some safety in that space. But their voice is absolutely critical, because the questions they ask is the when and the where. And if you don't understand when you're supposed to be implementing this idea, and particularly if you're talking about geographic, where you're going to be implementing this idea, then you're going to miss a major trick. And the last, by no means least, is the tempering energy, which is all about data. So they'll look at the financials, they'll look at the graphs, they'll look at the responses from whatever pieces of your business is providing data, and be able to analyze that and spend the time analyzing that and come up with those little nuggets. And they will be more of an introverted energy, which means they need to process things, need to think about things. But boy, when you get them speaking in the boardroom, you've got to listen. And if they're not there, then we make mistakes. We don't see the trouble coming. We don't understand the levers we've pulled, what the impact might be. So all four of those energies are absolutely critical in a boardroom. And it's really obvious once you start to understand those dynamics, when companies have gone off the rails. Why did they go off the rails? Typically because they either had too much tempering energy and just weren't making decisions, or they have too much activating energy And they are coming up with so many new ideas and going and driving and being wonderful and exciting and everything else that they don't actually keep track of the numbers. They don't actually keep track of the fact that the business is busy failing behind them. So if you're putting together a board, really think about the balance of energies around the room. Think about the profiles of the individuals in the room and make sure that they cover all the bases, because you will make better decisions, you will avoid unnecessary risks, and actually you'll play on everybody's strengths rather than having to compensate for people's weaknesses. If you want to find out more, go to the Contribution Compass website. It's www.contributioncompass.com, or contact Serdar and we can point you in the right direction and meet you for a coffee and talk about it in more detail.